Back in 2022, I unknowingly began what is now a 4-year tradition of annually making some bright, fun, over-the-top garment out of patchwork. Although at that point, I was entirely focused on making a 3,600-degree circle skirt. The patchwork and my first self-drafted dress bodice came as a total surprise. I thought those 4 videos would make a great compilation. They're some of my favorite and most joyful projects, and we'll be able to see the progression of my patchworking skills. So without further ado, let's travel back to 2022. How much circle could a circle skirt have if a circle skirt could have all the circles? Am I returning to the world of circle skirts in order to avoid having to work on more complex sewing projects? Maybe. But back when I made circle skirts for the first time, I did make a double circle skirt, so 720 degrees, and I recently started thinking, what about a triple? What about a quadruple? How many circles can you put together, and how much swoosh could you achieve? These are questions to which I need answers. Obviously, making a multiple circle skirt is gonna take a lot of fabric. I have a bunch of fat quarters, and I'm hoping that I can get a full circle out of each material and then put them together so that it's a cute, like, paneled, multi-fabric, but coordinated skirt. This doesn't really have to be something that I'm gonna wear consistently. This is really more of just a for the funsies of it experiment. The only thing is, I haven't actually used a fat quarter in a really long time, and I can't remember how much fabric it is or what size. I mean, it says what size on here, but you know, I can't visualize that. So there's a possibility that I won't even be able to get a short circle out of one of these, in which case either this video will no longer exist or I'll go dig through my fabric and find something else. Huzzah! Let's see how big this is. Oh, it's not very big. This is very small. I don't think that would cover my butt. In order for one of these fat quarters to work for this skirt, I would need the full length. We might be back to the drawing board here. I could do a quarter of a circle out of this, and I would have like a 16-inch skirt. That just means that out of this whole stack, I'm only getting 3 full circles, which isn't really much. None of these colors go together. So I either need to go raid my fabric stash or go back to the store. Like most embroiderers, I have a bunch of random cotton pieces in my stash, so I was hoping there would be enough in there to match up and give me the swoosh that I seek. But unfortunately, none of them really coordinated. So back to the store I went to stock up on way more fabric quarters. And this project is officially ridiculous. This was not really the plan, but then I didn't make a plan, so I can't really complain now, can I? I decided to go completely nuts and basically conform to my original hope, which was to make at least a 10 circles circle skirt. In order to do that, with each of these creating only a quarter of a circle, that's right, I needed 40 fabric quarters. So that is how many I now have. And my estimation is that I'll be able to get about 16 inches of length out of this. So it's gonna be a mini skirt. Might possibly end up looking like a tutu. I do not yet have plans for the waistband, but yeah, that's a thing I'll figure out. So in order to get 10 circles to match my waist, because I don't want to put this on elastic and have it gathered, I want to have it on a normal waistband, my head is telling me that I just need to divide my waist measurement by 10 and then use that new measurement like it's a waist measurement and do the whole circle skirt calculation thing, like I'm making a skirt for someone with a waist that big. Then when I put all 10 of them together, it should add up to my full waist measurement. I do have a yard of fabric here that coordinates, but I decided not to use. But this is my emergency backup in case I need fabric for a waistband, because I don't know that I'll have enough out of any of these to actually make a waistband, or in case I need to add like one more quarter of a circle because the whole thing is too small. So This is my emergency fund. All right, so I'm gonna go do that mouth calculation. Then we're gonna cut out a bunch of quarter circles. I'm measuring my low waist to give the length as much help as possible, and that's 35 inches. So each circle of this skirt should be made for a 3.5 inch waist. The radius of a 3.5 inch circle is like 0.5-ish inches, which is freaking tiny, so I figured I might as well go up to a 4-inch circle and do a 0.6 radius, just to be safe. This is actually really good news, as that gives me almost 18 inches of length instead of the 16 inches I thought I'd have. I arranged all the sections and pinned them together, which threw me a bit because the waist was about 4 times larger than I expected. But then, once I sewed together the first 20 pieces that will be the front half of the skirt, the waist was pretty much exactly half of my waist, so I guess we're all good? I then stitched the back section into 2 pieces of 10 panels each so I can put the zipper in the back and the pockets on the sides, and then it was time to figure out the waistband itself, or eat dinner, watch TV, and go to bed. I couldn't possibly just do a straight waistband in a solid color. Oh no, apparently I'm feeling extra. So I spent a quiet morning cutting out 1.5 inch wide strips of all the materials I used, which I then arranged into the same order as the skirt panels. I drafted a shaped and fitted waistband on the back of wrapping paper, which is another great hint from my seamstress master older sister Carrie, and then cut it out of plain teal backup fabric to see if it would fit before I risked it on the actual outer fabric. I think it'll work. I went ahead and cut out the pockets from this material as well. Must have pockets. After a bit of mindless scrolling through YouTube for a video to watch, it was time to tackle those strips of fabric. Hair's going up for this one. Upon using up all of the strips of fabric I had cut out, I realized that I had made almost 2 yards of this stripy new fabric, and I didn't want to waste any of it after all that work, so here's where this project really went off the rails. I decided I'll make a dress. Yep, that means it's waistband no more, now it's a full bodice. The only problem is, I don't have any patterns of this style to follow, so I'm just gonna have to draft it myself, which I've never done before. I have all these plans for making dresses without patterns, and they're all like loose, comfy, knit sack dresses, not a fitted, non-stretch, 10-piece bodice construction. Why am I like this? And y'all, it was a process, and one I did not film very much of because I needed to focus, but I did it. I drafted and constructed a bodice. I shan't go into great detail because this isn't a tutorial, and also I'm not entirely sure what I did. You know that phrase, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, or something like that? Well, that is a great description of how I made this entire thing. I was constantly surprised when seams lined up and things fit. Not that they always did. I'll be honest, I was a little giddy with excitement when it worked. Day 2 of this project saw the bodice lining finished, and day 3 was all about getting the outer bodice made, which meant finally cutting into all that fabric I had just spent half a day sewing together. I was quite nervous about it, but all my pattern pieces fit on there and I didn't mess up too much. I messed up just enough, as always. I started with the straps since those seemed easiest, and they were. Then came sewing the pieces of the bodice together. Not much trouble there either. Attaching the lining to the outer bodice with the straps inserted was a little more complex. But I ended up with a decent looking lined bodice, and I'm just still flabbergasted that this worked at all. Next, I attached the outer waistbands to the skirt. They don't perfectly match up to the panels, which I expected and was okay with, but the first time I attached the front piece, I stitched all the way from the left to the right, and that made it massively off right in the middle front. I should have stitched from the middle outwards, and after debating how much I cared for quite a while, I decided I cared a lot, seam ripped the whole thing off, and redid it. Once I had the waistband attached to the 3 pieces, I could finally put them together into one big piece with the pockets on the side seams. And let me tell you, I finally figured out how to properly put in pockets on the giant skirt that's so freaking full that you will never be able to find, much less see, the pockets. Still happy about it. At last, I was faced with the scary task of attaching the bodice to the skirt to officially make it a dress. By this point, I was so freaking hungry and I had a splitting headache, so I decided to call it a night, but not before employing Matt, who was coincidentally having a rare night off, to help me figure out the fit in the back and where the zipper should go. I'm honestly not sure what I would have done if he wasn't there. I'm going to have to find room for a dress form soon. Day 4 of this insane project began with a zipper, my favorite. Only I guess I'm not being sarcastic this time because I got this invisible zipper in cleanly on the first try, put the dress on, and y'all, it fit. Like a glove. I am still in disbelief about this. I even figured out how to cover the zipper with the lining on the inside and have a clean top and edges to it, which required a buttload of hand stitching because I was not about to risk the machine when I was not entirely sure how I got it to look like this in the first place. Ta-da! And with that, it was time for the hem. Oh, the hem. By my rough calculations, the hem of this dress is 1,120 inches long, or over 90 feet. 90 feet. What? I already went through an entire spool of thread on this dress. It ran out around the point of attaching the bodice to the skirt, and this hem almost ran me through another. So I only turned up the hem once, rather than the traditional twice. Still took me an hour and a half to sew. Y'all, this was supposed to be a goof of a project. I thought it'll take me a day, maybe a day and a half because of all that hemming. And then at every step along the way, I just made it more complicated. And I am so glad I did. I, honest to God, never would have thought I could make a full-on dress, draft and construct a bodice like this from scratch, no pattern, at this point in my sewing journey. This kind of project was not on my radar. I mean, overall, the dress is still like a little bit over the top. It also slightly reminds me of like lederhosen. It feels a little bit like circusy or costumey when I wear it, but at the same time, it's also just so fun and so swooshy. I'm still debating right now if realistically I'm ever going to wear this dress in public. I might. But regardless of how much wear this gets or doesn't get, this was so incredibly worth it. It goes way beyond the fun question of how many circle skirts can I stick together. At some points I kind of forgot that like that was the whole original point of this project. Which, by the way, I must say, if you can afford the fabric, stick 10 circle skirts together. It feels amazing. Even this short, it is so much fun. So I can only imagine, oh God, I can really only imagine because whoo, the amount of fabric, if you did this ball gown length. First of all, it would be so heavy. This is already a pretty heavy dress for how small it is. And if the hem is 90 feet long right now, it would be insanity. And then to switch back to what was not the main point of this video, but happened anyway, I don't know, I guess all I can say is just freaking go for it. If you have an idea and you think, I'm not there yet, I don't think I could do that yet, I need to wait on that for a while, I'll put that on my to-do list for like 5 years from now, maybe you can do it right now. Yeah, that's what I leave you with today. Try it. And I am gonna go clean up this living room that has been a disaster zone for 4 straight days. I think the most interesting part of a 4-year annual project compilation is this consistent check-in with like, where were we living? What was my camera and audio quality like? What were my patchworking skills like? And what was my editing style / ability at the time? I was super into time lapses, huh? The next year, around the same time, and still not entirely calling it a tradition, I gathered another huge hunk of fat quarters and set out to make a patchwork dress potentially even more insane than the 10 circles circle skirt. Hi. Nope. Much better. Hi, I'm trying something new. It's not really new, not to me, not to anyone. It's just new to this exact moment of my life. If you've been around in the last few videos, you've probably heard me complain about editing. That's not gonna stop. I both despise editing and cannot let go of my complete control over it. But in order to avoid sitting at my computer for 12 hours a day while I slowly spiral, I'm cutting my days in half. Editing in the morning, lunch. Part of this process is requiring myself to eat a decent lunch and then sewing until dinner. I can't guarantee dinner will be decent. On good days, it's a piece of fruit. And so we begin the project that I had the idea for many months ago and am just now getting to. Yay! I'll let you know how the whole half-day thing goes. I have high hopes. But we're going to patchwork and we're going to ruffle, and if my calculations are correct, the results should be over the top and a lot of fun. Let's do it! I wasn't prepared for that to be so loud. So ever since I made that 10 circle skirts dress, which I made entirely out of fabric quarters, I've been wanting to do something similar. Not the 10 circle skirts, we're good there, but patchworking fabric quarters together into this bright and sunny sundress. Of course, that required that I get a whole bunch of fabric quarters that all kind of at least coordinated a little. I want to say it was $5 for one of these packages, which has 6 fabric quarters in it. I really had no idea how much fabric I should buy. I bought what just seemed like an insane amount. But now that I stand here looking at it, it doesn't seem like an insane amount anymore. It seems like not that much. Check back in after I've patchworked all of this fabric and I'll probably think it's an insane amount again. I have a plan for the dress. It involves big poofy sleeves and a big ruffled skirt, and I was hoping to make it a maxi dress. But what I'm gonna do is start with the bodice because, you know, that can't change all that much. And then whatever fabric I have left over, I'll make the skirt out of because I can always ruffle a little bit less. Or I can just make the skirt shorter. So before I show you my dress design, let's open all of these up and see how much I have. I could do a little bit of math right now and figure out how much I have, but I'd rather see it in a stack for the drama. Okay. I think I need scissors. There's a lot of tape on those. Okay. Ta-da! It's so pretty! Let's see what we got. Well, that's already my favorite. I love that so much. We gotta speed through the rest. Okay, that's a lot of fabric. I didn't count while I was doing that, so let's count. 1, 5, 10, 15, 2, 3, 4. Is this 15 yards of fabric? Is it? Why am I so taken aback by this? I'm finding this so hard to believe that this is 15 yards of fabric. But we're gonna move past that because otherwise I'll be here all day thinking about it. There's a lot of cutting that's about to happen. I am realizing that this is not going to be a fast project at all, because you know how much I'm going to obsess over the placement of all of these different patterns. A lot. I'm gonna obsess over it a lot, but it's gonna be fun. 15 yards seems like enough to make a dress, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It seems like it. I also don't want to waste any of this fabric on the lining though, so I just have a plain 1 yard of fabric right here to make the lining of the bodice. I don't think I should need any more than that. Tra-la, Bob's your uncle. Let me show you my design. All right, my drawing skills have not really improved, y'all. I don't spend that much time trying to improve them. But the basic concept is a sundress sort of thing. Nice, full, gathered skirt, hopefully with multiple tiers. I'd like to get in at least 3. I want big, poofed sleeves, maybe with a little ruffle on the bottom. That'd be fun. And then the bodice itself, I'm hoping to do just a simple 3-piece front bodice. And then in the back, I want it to tie. So the back of the skirt will be on elastic. So in terms of pattern pieces, which I guess I will be making. You've basically got 3 pieces for the bodice front, the center, and the 2 sides, and then the bodice back will be basically just 2 sort of triangles or trapezoids, I guess. And right here will be attached to the sashes, which I don't have to make super long. I'm telling myself right now I should not make them super long because I don't want to waste too much fabric on that. And then the sleeves would just be a simple sort of trapezoid shape, because this up here on the shoulder will be on elastic so that it can either sit on your shoulder or hopefully also fall off the shoulder and be a little dramatic off the shoulder, cute summery thing. You know the look. I've never made anything like this, so you know, what could go wrong? So that's the plan, and now the question is, where do I start? Luckily, I have an easy answer for that because all of this fabric needs to be ironed. And as much as I normally hate ironing 15 yards of fabric, it's kind of nice right now because I can just sit there ironing this and thinking about yeah. Hi-ho, it's off to iron I go.
"2,000 years later."
I am definitely wrapping my head around the 15 yards now that I've ironed all of it. Unfortunately, I did not really come up with a plan for what to do next, other than laying all of this fabric out on the floor so I can stare at it. Oh my God. Can I just lay down and roll and make it all miraculously into a dress? So what is my next step? I also have to figure out how I'm patchworking this because these are not perfect squares, so I can't just cut them into fourths and have a square. I will still have a rectangle. So my first thought was to separate each piece into 2 smaller squares and 2 bigger squares. But that is not how squares work, she says as geometry re-enters her mind. That's 4 squares out of 1 piece, and I have that left over. Do I want to do the squares on the bodice really small? Because then, in theory, I could get 4 large squares and 4 small squares out of each of these pieces. And honestly, the bodice is not that big, especially because I'm gonna do high waist. But if that's the size of the square, then the bodice could only have like 3 across the front. But on the skirt, that size of a square will be great. But that is the size of the small square that I could get out of this. So now that on the bodice, we're now talking about several squares and it's gonna actually look patchwork. There we go, I think I just solved my problem. Each one of these can be turned into 8 squares. Yeah, that's what my brain is saying. Okay. A plan is formulating. So the next thing I need to do is pattern out and cut out the bodice out of the lining fabric, sew it all together, make sure that it's okay. Because if the pattern pieces work for the lining, then I can reuse them for the outside and everything will be good. All right, the patterning out was not too bad. Recently, a lot of people have been asking me if I make patterns and I keep saying, no, I don't make patterns. I realize that this is technically self-drafting a pattern, what I am doing right here, but like, this does not even seem closely related to the knowledge and the work and the experience that has to go into drafting a commercial use pattern that multiple people can use and turn out a decent product. And honestly, y'all, here's the thing. I know I could take a class or something and learn how, but I just do not have the slightest interest. Like, it is just not for me. I don't really wanna. And when it comes to sharing my pattern making process, I mean, this is why I don't I don't tend to share that much. I mean, look at what the process is. It's just a lot of insanity, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I am just measuring my own body and figuring things out as I go and constantly changing things. And if I sit down and tell you everything that I'm doing right here, tomorrow morning when I come back to it and actually cut out the fabric, it's probably gonna end up being wrong. So that is why I tend to skim over this part. Also, my camera died halfway through recording and therefore deleted most of the footage. So there's that. I'm gonna pause there for the night because it feels like dinner time. And the one joy, there's only one joy, of not having the puppy here right now is that I can leave all of those pieces of fabric on the living room floor for days. And there's no little puppy paws to go running across them and mess them all up. The one benefit, I guess. Everything else about not having the puppy here sucks. I will see you tomorrow afternoon after once again spending my morning editing. Bye! Good afternoon! I am happy to report that the half-day thing is going great so far. I didn't hate editing yesterday, and I even more didn't hate it today. Yes. I mean, of course I woke up this morning and wanted to dive straight back into this, but yeah, I didn't. I made myself go edit instead, and it was a jolly good morning. I'm gonna get this bodice lining cut out and sewn together and make sure it fits and make any adjustments that I have to. And this part is gonna be boring, so I'm probably gonna gloss through it real fast. Just letting you know. Aw, there's dog hair. I miss my baby! Yes. Yeah? Sure, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Do you see all this? Well, you probably can't see all this, but it's a mess right here. And this is, again, why I don't share my self-drafted patterns with you, because guess what? I'm gonna redraw every single one of these. I guess not this one. This is fine. But all three of these pieces need to be reshaped after testing it on my actual body. So that's why I don't call these videos tutorials, y'all, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Why is this such a mess?
Eventually.
Alrighty, this is the most mock-up of any mock-up I've ever made because I'm not gonna use it, so wow. But with the redone pattern pieces, I cut out just the front three because that's probably all I'm gonna do out of this fabric. And I am much more satisfied with the fit. It's looking decent across the boobs. I won't really be able to tell until I have the whole thing together, but I'm satisfied enough with this to move on. Which means the next step is patchworking. This is gonna be quite a process. Expect many time lapses. Woo! In theory, that's what I get from every single one of these. 4 of these, 4 of these. Is there a faster way to do this? I mean, I kind of don't think so. Yes, there is. Cardboard template. Do I have cardboard? I've got to have cardboard. There's always a box somewhere around here. Okay, that actually did not take as long as I thought it would because I started like expecting it to take all week for some reason. It didn't. It really only took like, I don't know, 4 hours tops. I got a lot to work with. It's kind of back to not looking like much though. Like it's weird that I can just hold it like this in my hands. So this is gonna get set aside until I have finished the whole bodice and sleeves, and this potentially becomes all of that. Anyway, I kind of want to throw these all in the air, but I feel like they would stick together and come down in one clump, and it wouldn't be that satisfying. As I predicted, here we go. Alright, we got a first little piece of fabric made here. It's not the neatest, but in all fairness, I wasn't trying that hard. It's fine though, it's getting cut up.
Day 2. Day 3.
I just want to bake a chocolate cake, or cinnamon rolls, or monkey bread, or jammy oat bars, but I have no eggs, no milk, and no butter. The grocery store is 5 minutes away, and right now that is 5 minutes too far. I just want homemade sugary goods. Also, I need another 41 squares for the second sleeve because each sleeve requires 70 squares. So that's what I'm doing today.
Nicely done.
Well, I've run out of thread. You know where all of it is? It's not in the freaking patchworking. It's on the floor. Oh, Lord. All right. So the thing is, I'm top stitching so much. In fact, that's what I'm on right now, is top stitching. I need to go to Joanne and get this exact same color. Probably like 2 or 3 more spools because I haven't even started on the skirt yet. I could go grocery shopping while I'm at it, get myself some milk, eggs, and butter, and make a cake. This is the only way I leave the house, is when I'm forced to buy my projects. Y'all, thread is expensive. Thank God I get my fabric so cheap because, oh my God, $10 for that. And this is the cheap thread. This is polyester thread. Be cheaper, thread. They had none of the regular size, but then I found these giant rolls. So, do you think that will last me through this dress? I mean, I'm kind of hoping it only takes that. $10. My God. Back to sewing. That'll do for now.
Day 4.
This dress makes me happy. Not this one, but this one too. We now reach the lovely stage in the process where you've spent days sewing everything together and you have to cut it up. Terrifying. It can be avoided no longer. I love how I'm all like, oh my God, I have to cut it out now, I'm scared. And then 5 seconds later, I'm like, that'll do. Okay. Is that how physics works? Okay. Now we do the cutting. My cake! I was finally able to make a cake. You better work. How big is the elastic I'm using? I have already forgotten. You should probably go check though. Y'all, this is like unprecedented levels of precision for me. I guess this is what happens when I've spent 4 days creating my fabric. It's like I care. So in theory, I just have to sew all of this together and I have a bodice. In reality, I'm probably gonna sit here for at least 15 to 20 minutes devising the exact step-by-step way that I'm supposed to sew it together and literally writing that down so that I have no risk of missing a step. It's a lot of staring off into the distance and questioning myself. So much fun! Good cake! Yummy. That should work. Y'all, we got sleeves. Sleeve 1 and sleeve 2. Now I just need something to attach them to. I look like a kid wearing their little pool floaties.
Tomorrow.
Yo, we have a bodice. I was not sure that this was gonna work pretty much the whole time, but it worked. This sleeve is too loose. Dang it, I'm gonna have to fix that. That's what it looks like. I really need a better mirror setup because I can't see it back there, so I don't know if it looks good. Does it look good? I was so expecting this to turn out worse than it did. Yay! The skirt is gonna be so easy comparatively, even with the pockets. Don't forget the pockets. Don't forget the pockets. I've officially reached a stage in life that I thought I would never reach. Perhaps I even hoped I would never reach. I slept in this morning to 7:30 a.m. Yeah, I feel like I've officially become an adult. I am forgoing the half and half day today, even though that's been going super well, and hopefully I'll be able to restart that in the near future. But Matt gets home from Europe today. Yay! And then we have one day to see houses, clean up this house, pack, and then we have to head off on a week-long road trip to see a bunch of family, go to a wedding, and pick up our puppy. All good stuff. But when we get back from that, we have to like dive head first into finding a house and moving. So it just feels like life is not going to be normal for a while. Normalcy is an illusion anyway. So assuming I counted correctly, I have 237 squares. So if I make every tier 2 squares high, then I only need 112 total, and that's not enough. But if I make every tier only 1 square high, I don't even have enough of these to do the bottom tier. This is feeling like a lot of math first thing in the morning. So what I could do is the double tier thing, but more than double. I know I'm making so much sense right now. So if the first row is 10 and 10, the second row is 30 and 30, and the next row is 80 and 80. What's our total? 240, which is 3 more than I have. But in theory, I could just drop the last one to 78 by 78. This is what I'm gonna do. Now let's cut out some pockets and start sewing. Y'all, oh my god! It's so cute! Whew! The hard part is done. Now we're just lengthening the skirt with tons of patchworking and gathering and easy peasy straight to the end. It'll probably take a hot second, but it'll be easy. It's looking exactly like I thought it would look and like I wanted it to look, and that is quite honestly mind-blowing. Yay! So it's been a week of no progress, but guess who's home now?
Come here.
Yay!
Can you say hi to camera?
Okay, bye. Anyway, I am jonesing, I believe is an appropriate phrase, to get back to this. I really want to finish this dress. And at this point, it's pretty much just sewing a bunch of straight seams and then laying out more fabric and then sewing more straight seams. I think I gotta put my hair up. That's a lot of ruffle. These are each 1 layer of the final ruffle. This is gonna take me days. Hooray! Let's start sewing. Ah! Whose idea was this? This is gonna take all week. possible that I am done. No, it's not, because I still have to hem it. But everything is sewn together! Yay! This dress is massive! Okay, since all I have left to do is very slowly hem the 600-inch bottom tier of this, I'm gonna say, let's call it there on filming, and skip to the final product. When did I start this dress? Because I feel like I've worked on it for a really long time. I'm kind of hot and sweaty, and I'm very, very hungry, so I'm gonna wrap this up fast. This was fun. It was a slow project with a lot of sewing straight seams, but it was so bright and colorful and floofy and fun the whole time that, like, I enjoyed it. For a little self-critiquing, because I must always self-critique. When I was making the mock-up, the bodice lining that I didn't use, I thought that I should taper the side seams in to the waist a little bit more, and then I decided against it when I made the final one. There's a little bit of a gap here, and if I had done what I thought I should have done, then I wouldn't have that. So, I should listen to myself. When I think I should taper the seams, I should just taper the seams. Also, the skirt is giant and swooshy and amazing, but if I were doing this again, unlikely, but you know, I would put a little bit more length into the first tier. I didn't want to put too much gathering at the waist because I didn't want that to get super bulky with all the gathered fabric right there. So because I used only 10 in this first tier, the circumference of the hem is not as big as I would like it to be. So when I hold the skirt out, it can only go out so far because that's as big as it is. I feel like that made no sense whatsoever. But okay, moving on. Random update on the birds in my backyard, since y'all said you'd love animal updates. The black phoebes, their little nest, I was right, it was an egg stage. They have hatched now, and I saw cute little baby bird beaks out the top as they were begging for food. It's adorable. The doves, on the other hand, I'm a little confused about this. After they both left the nest and went to live in the back section of our garden, one of them returned to the nest. I don't know what happened to the other one. He flew off and decided to live a normal life, but this kid, like, won't move out of his parents' house. He's just sitting in the nest. He, she, could be either. And it has been there possibly like 2 weeks. We know it's alive because we see it blink and it moves positions every now and then, but we have never seen it leave the nest. So how is it eating? If you have any information on doves, do share. Oh, and the half-day thing. It went well. I did not do it every single day of this project because circumstances just changed, but I did it most days, and it really does work well. Because even sewing, like, I so enjoy the sewing part, the making the project parts, but even that, it's difficult to do it for 12 hours straight in a day. I either get too focused on it and I'm not taking a break to, like, eat a decent meal, or halfway through I'm like, oh my god, I just need to be doing something else. So, for both editing and for the project making, doing these half days is really helpful. I'm hoping to return to it frequently as I move forward, being my own boss. And with that, as usual, I'm gonna go eat something. Bye! So logic,
Stepping on my fabric, it feels wrong.
you'd be like, bloof. Ooh. Sorry to editing me, this one's gonna be a bitch. I had completely forgotten that I filmed that video right after we learned we would have to move again. But also, that was one of 2 videos that boosted my channel for the first time in 2 years, and basically gave me the audience that I have today. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here. By the next year, I had officially realized that this was becoming a tradition, and I was leaning into that, while leaning away from big skirts. I needed a break from the dressmaking, but not from the patchwork itself. It's time! It's time. Did he just say it's time? Dum, boom, boom. A certain group of you just got hit by a wave of nostalgia. It's time for my sort of annual patchwork project. I've been in the mood to do some patchworking for a while now, but I noticed the other day that YouTube says this video was 1 year ago and this video was 2 years ago. So like, let's make it an annual thing. 3rd time is not only the charm, it's tradition. 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 But here's the thing. As absolutely joyous as it was to create both of these garments, as much fun as I had, as much as I love the final products, I've never worn either of them. I know, all of you in the comments are like, they're great, wear them out. It's not that I wouldn't, it's that I don't really go out. And for so many reasons, the weight of these dresses being a major one, I can't keep holding them like this. These are not the super easy choice to put on for like getting groceries or even going to dinner. And that's all that I do out. So this year I'd like to make something wearable. Again, not that these aren't wearable. I'd like to make something that's actually practical to wear. Not out, I can't spend my life waiting to go out, it's not happening, but rather in. I want patchwork overalls. The last 2 times that I patchworked, I bought all of the fat quarters to coordinate. First at Joann for way too much money because I was committed and there was no going back, and then at Remainders for a much more reasonable amount of money because I planned ahead. But this time I shall spend no money that has not already been spent because we are using what we have. I mean, I have plenty.
And I'm so excited to use it.
I think I'm gonna patchwork in a very Carly B style, the queen of patchworking. Choose a bunch of coordinating fabrics and then just start creating and piecing together shapes until I have a stretch of material. I'm choosing the colors before deciding on a design because I have 2 options and I'm not sure which to use. So maybe the color palette will help me make that choice. The first design is sort of a more fashion-forward overall. Fitted at the waist, wide legs, but not too wide because we're being practical. A front bib, maybe one of those like triangle bibs in the back, adjustable straps, and lots of pockets. And the other one is sort of a looser, more comfy, almost Morgan Donner style overall. I'd love to make them both, but at this time, in this video, there can only be one. Also, y'all, I find it lightly amusing when you recommend YouTubers to me in the comments, like, oh, have you heard of Closet Historian? Or did you see that thing that Morgan Donner did? And I'm like, yep. All good. I don't begrudge the recommendations. I'll totally take the recommendations. It's just funny to me because it's so rarely someone I haven't heard of. Like, in an atypical way, we all kind of work for the same company, and you could even say that we're in like the same department. So even if I don't know them personally and we haven't like met or talked or anything, yeah, I'm still very aware of their presence and their work. Look at this bee fabric. It's so cute. Actually, I guess that may not be true of every single YouTuber. I am like obsessively a research person. I like to keep abreast of what's going on with the double threat YouTubers, the makers of videos who are also makers of stuff. Oh, that one's gorgeous. I mean, that's kind of a wide color palette, but hey, let this be a challenge to you. Can you introduce me to a YouTuber in the makerspace that I've never heard of? It does happen sometimes. I have been introduced to some YouTubers via a viewer's comment. Granted, I'm really only researched in the sewing niche mostly, so if you go outside of that, it's more likely you'll find someone that I have not ever seen before. So yeah, random challenge. Who is a YouTuber that you absolutely love that you really think I may never have heard of? Do share. Okay, what about this fabric? I found this at Remainders once upon a time. It is so freaking cute. I could, in theory, use like 3 of these squares, maybe for a pocket on the front bib and then 2 back pockets. Maybe even 2 side pockets, but like I could use a few of these as pockets and then I could coordinate all of the other fabric of the overalls to match, hence coordinate. This also gives me like a pretty wide color palette because all of these have a pretty broad variety of colors in them. I think it would be easier to kind of knock out what doesn't work with it first. Oh, I forgot I also have these. Another Remainders find. It was one of those like massive stacks of just this size of square, all different kinds of fabric, but I did split it with my sister and my stepmom. We all kind of selected the pieces we like the most. But like these are the perfect size to add to a random patchwork garment. Ah, so much cute fabric. Okay. I think what I gotta do here is focus. I'm just sitting here admiring all of the different prints and not really getting anything done, so I gotta focus. We have a first pile of rejects. Another time, but that's a good start. Take a look. I think I'm good with all of this except maybe these little things here. They might be too bright in comparison to the kind of muted colors. Like all of these go really well. And some of these are brighter and will kind of enhance the whole thing. But yeah, I just don't know if these are too standouty. So I think I'm gonna set them on the side and like, if I need more fabric, I can use those. But basically, it's that. Of course it ended up being a frickin' rainbow. I can't help it. I just want brightness and all of the colors all at the same time. So much for having a color palette. It's just all the colors. Ooh, well, if you're not good at color selection, just always do a rainbow. Solves that problem. I would like to do some more specific color palette patchworking soon, but I'd forgotten I had this produce fabric and it is really perfect. I definitely think with this, I'm gonna go for the more structured overall. For some reason, this just says yes in my head. It needs like the waistband and the wide legs. So I think that is plenty of fabric. I mean, I know that's plenty of fabric. Some of these are bigger chunks, so like I'm good. Last bit of fabric selection. I really want to put some of my embroidery on these overalls. I have so much embroidery and a lot of it is already framed in hoops and like, that's it. I can't take it back out. I could, but I don't wanna. But I also have 3 bags of stuff that I never even framed, theoretically because I didn't like it as much or it didn't turn out as well, but that's fine. So even if there's just like one piece in here that I could put on a pocket or something, it's like I should use it in some way. I should definitely use it. Let's see what I got. This was when I was creating a plan for my 90 chain stitch sampler. It's kind of fun, but a little too bright for this. Oh, okay, that could definitely work. That's like right in the color palette, and it's just a little small piece. That was when I was trying... Now I can't remember what it's called. I'll put it on the screen, whatever this specific type of like weaving embroidery is called. Oh, there's an abandoned project. Okay, that's kind of the only one that goes with the color palette, but that's fun. Just having that little flower on there somewhere will be a fun little touch. And it goes super well. I love how much that goes with the color palette. So here's the fun/annoying part. I should really pre-wash all of these, because they're probably all cotton. No. As much as I just want to blaze ahead with making this, I am trying to make a practical, wearable, fabulous garment, so I don't want all of my patchworking to shrink afterward. I am so excited, obviously not. While that is being pre-shrunk, I think that I need, prepare thyself to be shooketh, a mock-up. Gasp, I know! Me mocking up? Who would have thunk it? But here's the thing. I'm not going to mock up the full overalls. Absolutely not. I don't need all of that. Most of it is small pieces that I can basically, like, guess, estimate, wing it on the size. The pant legs, however, I don't know how long, how big, what shape, how full, all of that stuff. I don't know yet, and therefore I don't know what size of a piece of fabric I'm gonna need for them. Essentially, I need a pattern piece of the pant legs, but rather than just making a pattern piece, I figure I will mock up one single leg, because I am too lazy with mock-ups to even do both of them. Put it on, test, make sure it's all good, and then I can take it back apart, and that's my pattern piece. I'm gonna use this sheet that is very wrinkly. Do I need to iron this too? There's so much ironing. It has at least been pre-washed. That's great. You know what? I think I'm literally gonna move my ironing board out here for the moment, just so that as I'm ironing all of the patchworking fabric, I can stack it up neatly on the table. So I might as well do that now. Take care of this. Oh Lord. Okay. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, let's skip ahead. Yay, it's done, so fast. Definitely didn't get bored halfway through and bail. Nope, not at all. Once I had marked out and cut out a front leg and a back leg, I quickly sewed up the two seams, tried it on, and then marked a whole bunch of adjustments. Well, I say a whole bunch, but if they were really extreme adjustments, I would have done it again. This is just like, make it longer, add seam allowance in this area, slope this out a little wider. I'm satisfied with this as a pattern piece, so I'm gonna rip those two seams back out and move on to the patchworking. Oh wait, no. First we gotta iron all of this. Ugh. Yay. Okay, well that was a blast. I need to kind of separate this now into the actual fat quarters and then the bigger pieces of fabric. I just think that'll give me a better idea of what I've got. But also, I drew out every single piece that I should need for this. I am sure you can't see it because there's lots of light hitting it. But basically every piece, the pant legs, the pockets, the straps, the waistbands, the bibs, along with approximate measurements for each one. So I'm gonna kind of start probably with the smallest pieces, like the pockets with, you know, that main inspiration fabric, wherever that went. There you are. See, once I iron things, I don't want to like fold them or anything, because then you just delete all the work you just did. Come here. Inspiration fabric. Peas, corn, cherries, strawberries, cauliflower, melon. I might have to do like an Instagram poll to see which ones I should use or which ones I should put where. They are so cute. I think I kind of want the cherries on the front. Patchworking always ends up taking longer than you think it will. I mean, I don't have a deadline for this. I'm not putting a deadline on it. I can take as long as I want, but I am going on a trip soon. So if I don't finish this by the time I leave for that trip, I just have to pause in the middle of the project and come back to it, which is not something I love doing. So was this a great time to start a patchwork project? Probably not, but honestly, I really wanted to do it right now, so. This is a sign of how chill I have been lately about my production schedule. It's a good thing. Great chat, break, let's do it! One fabric down. This was definitely a just do it kind of thing. Like, I immediately realized I could spend hours obsessing over every piece and color and pattern and placement, and I don't want to spend my time that way, so I just started doing it, which worked great. The attempt to keep everything nice and flat and unwrinkled also went right out the door. Oh well, there will be so much more ironing before I'm done here. I started by putting some borders around all the pockets since they have so little seam allowance, and I love how different they all look. Eep! Then I pieced together the front and back bibs, the straps, the waistbands, just like, you know, going for it. It's pretty fun when you completely release the need for repeating patterns and symmetry and all the things my brain normally wants. Okay, so I have pieced out all of the top pieces, well, all of the pieces except the legs, and then this right here is the very first leg. I just laid the white mock-up fabric down and then placed stuff over it, giving myself like a lot of bonus space on the sides to not only account for the parts that I changed from the mock-up, but also all the seam allowances. So I'm gonna pause for tonight, and then tomorrow morning I will start sewing everything together because I don't want to do any more piecing until I see if what I've done is working. But theoretically, this is going well. Yay! Okay, so here's the thing. On all of the top pieces of these overalls, everything is lined basically, so I've just been sewing them together with unfinished seams. Like, I'm not finishing the edges on the inside because it's lined, so I'm fine with the edges being raw when they are enclosed. I'm not lining the pants. I mean, I guess I could line the pants. Because what I was thinking is, should I French seam all of my patchworking? But like, one, that's gonna take a lot longer, and two, it might be difficult in some areas. I don't think it'll be that difficult, but considering the way I've pieced this together, it's not like always just an easy straight line connection. I could just line them with the sheet that I made the mock-up out of, and then I wouldn't have to do that. And the sheet is really light, so it's not like it would make it that much heavier. Okay, yes, decisions have been made. In that case, we're just moving on with a lot more regular patchworking. Yay! Let's do it. And so on and so forth. I almost completely forgot about my little piece of embroidery because I had left it in my studio instead of bringing it out with the rest of the fabric. But I think it's gonna look super great on the front of the second leg. I think I'm done patchworking. Could it be? Ta-da! All right, so after a whole day of sewing, the patchworking's done and I just have to construct them tomorrow. Yay! Let's cut out some pants. I'm not super worried about the wavering on these. I think once the piece is cut out and everything is sewn together, it won't cause problems. Maybe I'm just hoping it won't cause problems. It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. The nice thing about making multiple chunks of fabric that are the right size for each pant leg is that I didn't do like a bunch of unnecessary patchworking. If I had just created like one massive stretch of fabric that I could then cut all 4 pieces from, there would have been so much unnecessary fabric in between, which I would have felt bad about wasting. It's all going back in the scrap bin. Nothing is getting wasted. Wait. I thought the whole point, oh, that's the front leg. That's why. There we go. And now we cut. Also, it's not as nerve-wracking cutting into it because I'm just kind of trimming off little bits around the edges. So I'm not like, my work. One down. Of course, I'm making the pants split side style because that's already kind of an overall thing anyway, so why not make it easier in the construction world? Sort of easier. Actually, when it comes to split side pants, I'm not so sure I'd call it easier than just putting in a zipper or something. The secondary characters are singing a song while the stars are snacking off stage. Oh my god, y'all. Ah! Look how cute they are! They're so bright! Also, I'm still not the best at patterning and fitting fitted pants, so they are almost too small, but I think I'm just scraping by. I think they will be perfect. So huzzah for that. Hi, Bubby. You're so cute. Alrighty, they're done. Y'all, patchworking I thought was gonna take longer than I expected, and it didn't. And then sewing the actual things together, did take longer than I expected. Either way, it's done now. The construction was a bit complicated, but it's so cute! And a little bit clownish, but in a cute way. Let's look. It's so cute! I love it! The pants actually ended up fitting perfectly, or like they were technically too big. I had to adjust one of the snaps this morning. Although I think that right now in my life, my width is fluctuating within a day. So when I sewed the snaps on the sides last night, it was late in the day, and then this morning I put it on and I was like, I'm smaller right now. I gotta move those. So despite it being split side pants, I didn't really make them adjustable because, you know, I only sewed one set of snaps, but you can always sew more sets of hooks or snaps or whatever to make them adjustable. Anyway, the pants actually fit perfectly. Like the sides lined up exactly how they were supposed to. The pant legs are right on the border of being impractically wide. They fall in my zone of still practical, but they're also pretty swooshy. All of the pockets are delightful. I'm so pleased with the whole thing. And yeah, if you're interested in patchworking garments, I think the reason I don't do it super often, because I love the look, is because my last one, the dress, took 3 weeks to make. And that is obviously because those gathered panels of the skirt are absolutely massive. That was what took 3 weeks. Or at least like that's what took 2 of the 3 weeks, I think. This on the other hand took what, 3 days? So yeah, if you want to start making some patchwork clothes, just make like a normal sized garment would be my advice. And then it doesn't take that much fabric and it doesn't take that long to make it, and you end up with something absolutely adorable, especially if you use scraps from old projects. Most of the fabric in this is, hold on for loud plane. Okay, most of the fabric in this is just fat quarters and chunks of fabric that I've been purchasing over the last 2 years that I really liked, but there is a little bit of previous projects. I threw in some of my potato fabric because obviously I had to do that. There's a bit of my like teapot, the blue fabric right here that I've made a skirt out of before. Some of the fabric goes all the way back to my embroidery days when I would just get plain stretches of cotton in different colors to embroider on. That was the only reason I had fabric. And I do love that I got my little piece of embroidery on here. It's so cute. The elastic on the straps worked perfectly. I can tie these nice and tight to where they're not slipping off my shoulders at all, but because I can pull on that, I'm able to take the straps off, which just makes it easier, words, just makes it easier for bathroom breaks and stuff. I'm pleased. I feel like I'm ready to host a kids show in this. Isn't it funny how bright colors and fun stuff is so associated with kids, as though we are all expected to safely water down our personalities to gray and beige by the time we're adults? No thank you. I mean, like I said, it does have a bit of a clown vibe to it, but like, again, just like right on the border of clownishness is where I like to be. If I was a clown, do you know what my name would be? I will give you 3 seconds to think about it. Pockets! Of course it would be Pockets! And I would have tons of pockets on my outfit, and I would do prop comedy by pulling random things out of the pockets. In another life, where I like kids. Maybe that was my career. Anyway, I managed to get this all done before going on my trip, and I wasn't even like trying to speed through it, so perfect. Let's see if I can get the video edited before I go. I'm gonna go work on that now. Bye! Do you say hi? Hello. I wish I could fly. Do better. Oh, my butt. Love these overalls so much, and while I haven't worn them a ton because they are still a little bit over the top, I have at least worn them. But after a year off of giant patchwork skirts, what was I longing to patchwork? A giant skirt. Of course, is anyone surprised? And thus we reach the 4th annual patchwork project. Y'all, I decided to run through my bobbins on this, cause like, you know, who cares what color you're using? I have already emptied out all of these, and we haven't even started on the dress. Y'all, it is about that time of year for my annual patchwork project. Yay! I actually totally forgot this was even a thing. First, I did the 10 circle skirt dress. Then I did the massive, sundressy kind of style patchwork dress. And then I did the adorable children's show host style patchwork overalls. But yeah, I wasn't really thinking about the tradition of it all. I just started feeling like it was time to do another patchwork project. Like, my body knows now that it has been 12 months. You must patchwork. And I was specifically inspired when it comes to the style, or I guess you could say the design. Actually, I don't know what design I'm going to do other than dress. I want another dress. But the style of patchworking, I guess you could say, was specifically inspired by fellow YouTuber and sewist Jane of Jane's Dresses. Absolute master of working with scraps and patchworking. Ooh, go check out her stuff, y'all. It's really good. She had posted some shots of this absolutely gorgeous dress that she made with like a consistent square patchwork style, kind of like just simple old school quilt style. I think the squares are probably 2 by 2 inches. And I just immediately was like, that's what I want to do next in the world of patchwork. Come here. Oh, hello. It's visiting time, which means there's going to be a lot of cutting straight lines and sewing straight lines. Aren't we excited? Puppy, are you excited? I don't think he cares. But yeah, as I mentioned, I don't really know what design that I want to do yet other than circle skirt. Always the circle skirt. So what I think I'm gonna do is actually create patchwork fabric. Like, rather than making the pattern first and then doing just enough material to cover the pattern pieces, which is how I did the overalls last year, I think I'm just gonna make like a giant swath of material. It needs to be wide enough for like a T-length circle skirt on me, which would be probably like 40 inches to be safe, maybe even a little bit more than that. And then it would just need to be long enough for me to feel safe, feel like I have enough fabric, however long that is. But then I can just focus on putting the squares together first and cut out the dress later. Do the scrap trunk. This kit is one of the best things I've ever found on Facebook Marketplace, and that's saying something because I have found some really good stuff. Opening it makes me so happy every time. We're gonna do rainbow. Spoiler alert, I guess. No one is surprised. Of course we're gonna do rainbow. And at this point, I have a pretty solid range of colors. I think there's not really any red represented, but if we let pink stand in for red, we're good. We've got a rainbow. And because it's fairly small squares, like if we're doing 2 by 2 inches, I should be able to get a lot of squares out of all of this, and like even the smallest pieces I have in here. She says, picking up a piece that might actually be too small. But like theoretically, I can use a lot of even the smallest pieces in here for this dress. So pinky, red, I do have some orange, not very much, so I might have to go on the hunt for a little more orange. Got lots of yellow these days, especially bee yellow. There's gonna be a lot of that represented in this dress, but honestly, this is all yellow, my God. Not as much green. Well, that's not bad, but like comparatively to yellow and to blue, not as much green. Lots of blue, of course. I do kind of want it to be balanced though, because I am choosing to do a rainbow. I don't want to have so much blue and barely any orange to where you're like, that's blue with some random other colors in there, you know? And then here's purple. Not a huge amount either, but varied in tone. I do have like these scraps up here that are from my original first patchwork thing, the 10 circle skirt dress. I still have scraps from that. I don't know if any of them are actually big enough to cut squares out of, but it would be fun to put some of those in this dress. It's Patchwork Inception. I do have brown, and you know what? I'm not gonna use it. No brown, no black, no gray. So especially in the realm of like filling in the orange and filling in the green, I'm probably gonna pull some of these fat quarters and just cut out extra. Not extra, because they'll be part of the whole thing. I might also come down here to the multicolor area and just choose some of these to throw in there, because I don't have a lot of multicolor in here yet, but that's for later. For now, y'all, I have to iron all of this. Okay, well, let's get to it, shall we?
One eternity later.
Okay, so that's already pretty weighty. Where's my coffee? Found it. This is a 2-inch square. Can you see that? I can't see it. 2-inch square, 2.5-inch square, 3-inch square. I think 2 inches is too small. You know, like that's barely anything. I kind of think that maybe even 2.5 inches is too small, because this is with seam allowance, you know, so I'm probably gonna do 1/4 inch seams, because like, why have more fabric on the back of the garment than absolutely necessary? So that's the size of square that we would actually be seeing. I think that's good. Like, my brain is going, oh my god, you're gonna need so many squares, but that's kind of the point of this style of patchwork that I've decided to do, right? It's that you need so many squares, and they're all pretty little. So I think we should go with 2.5. Essentially that. Oh god, these are small. But you know, on the bodice, I think them being this small is good, because if you patchwork too big and then try to make some sort of bodice out of it, you usually just don't see a lot of the patchworking. You know, the smaller squares definitely benefit up here. It's just when I think about the whole the whole giant circle skirt that I'm like, oh god, oh goodness. This is gonna be good. I've got a lot more squares to cut. So let's put this baby to good use, yeah? I love you. Alrighty, y'all. I think we're good for now. I don't know that we're actually done though. I didn't use everything that I have because I kind of got into a policy of only 60 squares per fabric type tops. Sort of. Like some of my first ones over here in the purple zone, I kind of perfectly got 60 out of the fabric that I had. So I just made that like a stopping point for everything else. I do think I forgot about that. Yeah, I clearly did. With this fabric right here, which is fine. It's cute and very colorful, but I've got like 80, more than 80 of that one. Whoops. How many do I have total though? Shall we do a count? These are all stacks of 10 and then 3. It didn't work out evenly. When does it? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus another 33 here. So I have 1,713. I need to write this down somewhere because theoretically, there's then a math problem that I could do if all of these with seam allowance end up being 2-inch squares, right? This is too early in the morning for math. I'm wearing the same clothes, but it's a different day. I need to sit for this. I need to know how many stacks of 10, basically how many tiles I have of each color. Kinda, I need to match the number of blue that I have with every other color. Although, now that I'm looking at it, that means a lot more cutting out. So it doesn't necessarily need to be exactly even, but like, it needs to be more even than it is. There's barely any orange, there's barely any purple. Green actually really needs a boost, especially because the 2 greens that I have the most of are these 2, which are both very pale and almost blend into the blue, you know, because they don't like stand out as green. So actually, I think green is the most important thing for me to pump up. And then I would like some more purple, and I can do some more multicolor. Anyway, so I was gonna count. 8, 20, 2, 4, 6, 18, 20, 32, 33, 2, 30, 50, 16, 10, 12. I'm definitely gonna be cutting out more squares. The question is, how many squares do I even need to cut out? We gotta go back to that math problem because I don't wanna cut out so much stuff that I end up with way more fabric than I even need for a dress, and then I just have a bunch of leftover fabric. What is this math problem though? If you just lined all of these up together in one long strip, then it would be 1,713 times 2, and that would be how long it is. And then that number times 2 would be the square inches. Yes? 6852 square inches. That's about 5.2 square yards. Everyone on the metric system, I agree, your system is better, because here's the even more annoying thing, is that square yards doesn't necessarily translate in my brain to how much fabric, because our fabric doesn't come in square yards. It's 60 inches, which is not any multiplication of a square. So actually, this isn't that much fabric. Y'all, I think I need way more fabric. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go pull a bunch of fat quarters. It should be a lot easier to cut more out of fat quarters than out of the random scraps, so yay, let's do it, y'all. Let's do it. I did some more quick calculating of how much fabric I'll need instead of how much I have. If I go super safe with 45-inch wide fabric and assume that I'll need 45 inches in length for every quarter of the circle skirt, then I need 180 inches total, which is 8,100 square inches. That's of course not including the entire bodice, although cutting out a circle skirt does typically leave you with a nice little curvy triangle that could potentially be enough for all the bodice pieces. So my goal here is to reach at least 8,100 square inches of patchwork squares. And then anything beyond that means I have more wiggle room for an interesting bodice, or possibly even sleeves. I am hyper aware right now that all of my math could be completely wrong though. I mean, it did just occur to me that the fabric will not be 45 inches wide because my squares will be 2 inches wide, which means it will either be 44 or 46. And that single additional inch will actually make a difference when we are talking about thousands of squares. Oh well, we plow ahead. I focused on adding to the green first, which wasn't too hard. I have a lot of variety there, but y'all, why do I have almost no purple fat quarters? These 3 that I do have aren't even mostly purple. They just kind of lightly count. I'm supplementing with this larger piece of fabric that I got at some creative reuse store on my road trip, but even that barely counts as purple, so we're just gonna be a little light in that corner. Comparatively, orange is not a problem. I have a decent amount of orange materials to choose from, so I think we're all good there. I also wanted to add some red, even though I'm considering pink to kind of be red in category here. I thought the range of hues would be nice. And then there's the patchwork inception that I totally forgot about for a day or two. I cut 10 squares out of the striped patchwork material from that dress, which I think will be just sort of a fun little Easter egg. I have this massive stack of curved triangles from where I cut out a quarter circle from all of these fat quarters. So I don't think I need all of this, but I do want to add a bunch of them to my current stacks. At least it's like more in the teal realm mostly, which isn't really a color scheme I had represented yet. 2,730 squares, which, if we're assuming my math was right and I counted right, should be 10,920 square inches. I met my quota of 8,100, met it and flew right over it. These are making me so happy, y'all. Not only is it a lot of fabric from my previous projects, you know, there's a lot of actual garments that I've made represented here, but there's also fabric from like way back in my embroidery days. Like a bunch of these green materials in the middle were fat quarters I got to embroider on. So there's the reminder of that. And then there's also just some new fabric in here that's super cute and I haven't had an opportunity to use before. We have representations of my first patchwork project, even some like this watermelon fabric I used in my patchwork overalls. I don't think there's any representation of the second patchwork project, of the patchwork dress. I know that this material right here, this red stuff, I cut out for that dress, but didn't end up using because I thought it didn't go with the color scheme enough. So this is kind of from that dress, but I think all of the other material from that I used in something else. Did I use it in the patchwork overalls last year? I don't know. But yeah, like the color for one thing is just always gonna make me so happy. But on top of that, the variety of memories that all of these fabrics have is just so cool. I've been putting all of the offcuts as I cut all of these out in this lovely basket, which is pretty full now. I have 2 full bags in the closets over there of my tiny scraps. So all of this is gonna be added to it. And this is something that like, it's really gonna be best used for stuffing in the future. And I do have a project idea in mind that would use all of my scraps as stuffing. That'll be sometime in the future, I think. Let me get a better angle here so I can stop shrimping. So the dilemma now is how to sew all of these together. Not how, as in use a sewing machine. How, as in what order. And I was really debating this, so I did some polls on Instagram to get other people's opinions. Because I am making a whole stretch of fabric and then cutting stuff out of it, especially because I'm cutting circle skirts out of it rather than like a gathered skirt that would be a rectangle, it doesn't make sense to make the entire piece of fabric a rainbow gradient. What you'd end up with is like a quarter of a circle skirt that's pretty much all red and pink. And then the next quarter would be like all blue. It wouldn't really work. So in my mind, the two options were complete randomness, like mix all of these up, make sure that there's nothing sticking together, and then just put it in a giant bag or basket or something beside the sewing machine and just pull them out completely at random. That's the direction I was kind of leaning towards, because the only other option I could think of is sewing stripes of all the same color, because the way to do this is going to be making rows and then sewing those rows into the final fabric, yeah? I've decided each row is going to be 22 squares, which should give me 44 inches. But yeah, so I could do like a row of red, a row of pink, etc., make all of the rows the same, and then I could decide how to arrange those rows. But then I was like, I don't know how those stripes are gonna end up falling. And then someone on Instagram suggested, what if you did a diagonal gradient? So it's red in a corner coming out in a rainbow and repeating. This would mean that for every 22-piece row I'm doing, I would do red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink. But then the next row, I'd start with orange. Then the next row would start with yellow. I really like this idea. I think when it comes to cutting out circle skirts, this is the thing that's going to look the best on that type of pattern piece. So I think this is what we're gonna do. Thank you to Eric and Ninka for the idea. Really appreciate it, because that had not registered in my brain at all. The only thing that concerns me, or concerned me, still kind of concerns me, we'll keep it in the present, about this plan is that I still don't have an even number of all the different colors. So I did my calculations of, generally speaking, my final numbers. This is not exact at all because I do have stacks that have more than one color in them. I have 16 stacks of red, 27 stacks of pink, 24 stacks of orange, 38 of yellow, 50 of green, 75 of blue, 33 of purple, and 10 of like multicolored with a white background, which I'm not at all sure where to put those. Where do those go in the rainbow? I might have to like just decide that those stand in for a certain color. Ooh, there's a really big butterfly outside. So pretty. So the obvious solution to me here is that it just needs to be a more broad rainbow. Pink, red, orange, yellow, green, green, blue, 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 purple, yeah? Eventually, I will still start to run out of certain colors, but the hope is that by the time that starts happening, I'm past the length of where the actual circle skirt will need to be, and I'm starting to make like the extra material that will be the bodice and possibly sleeves, maybe a sash. It might not even get used for this, because again, I was only aiming for 8,100 square inches, and I have almost 11,000. So that is the plan. Which means what I need to do is I need to turn all of this into stacks of 22, so that every stack represents a row in the proper order that I need to sew it together. Now I need to put these into specifically collections of color. Just make sure that no stack has multiple colors in it, like all the orange needs to be together, all the yellow needs to be together. And then, yeah, I'm just gonna start making stacks, and I fully expect this to take like a day or two of work. Patchwork is so fun, y'all, isn't it? Look, I made those overalls pretty dang fast, so if you want to do patchwork quickly, do bigger pieces, only make enough for the pattern that you're making, make a smaller garment, you can absolutely do some quick patchwork projects. I knew going into this that this one would not be quick, and I am fully okay with that, because it's making me happy. Yay! I decided it would be easiest to keep each different fabric in its own stack so that I'm not having to dig through a pile of blue to find a specific type while making the stacks of 22. Yeah? This only took like half an hour because Matt showed up to offer assistance. Huzzah!
This is a lot of fabric.
It is. That is an accurate statement, sir.
Check out my idea.
What's your idea?
You make a dress out of croutons?
That was not the direction I thought that would be going.
This would be better if there was like a podcast or something.
Yeah, normally I do listen to stuff or watch stuff while I do this. But you're here. Be my podcast.
I don't have much to say. I like an apron.
Okay, I can make an apron.
A chef hat.
That'd be interesting to try to make. I wonder how you pattern those. When you look at these, what color do you see the most besides
Beige.
white? There is no beige.
Oh, I thought you were asking me to interpret.
Do you
This
see
is gonna be
green or pink the most? Because that's the two
Green.
colors I see.
and pink and green.
Okay. I can agree with that. I did find a fabric from my second patchwork project in here after all. This green stripe is from the dress. And we have 102 different fabric types going into this patchwork. Wahoo! I love how much of this project is just counting and being lightly wowed by numbers. I'm gonna start with pink. So every collection of colors is 10. 10 colors to my rainbow. Cool! 20, 21, 22. First stack! So the next one starts with red. Hey, look at that! We have more numbers! At 22 squares per stack, I ran out of red squares with a total of 97 stacks. That should give me over 180 inches of fabric in length, which was my original goal for the circle skirt itself, so I'm gonna sew all of these up and then assess what I want to do with the remaining tiles. Potentially, I could do a fabric that isn't 45 inches wide, you know? I don't know, we'll wait and see. Okay, I need a slight break from those squares. Come on, chair. Oh, so how about we have an art interlude? It's an art interlude because I bought a piece of art and it arrived and I want to show you. Y'all, I am so freaking excited about this. This is from an artist that I've been following on Instagram for quite a while and I had just never been able to time it right with her art drops because she usually sells out pretty fast. But I managed to click on it just the right time and it was specifically some of her pieces that I was most enamored with. I mean, quite frankly, I love everything that she makes. Beauclay Arts. I don't think I said the name. But yeah, her style is just stunning. The painting alone, but then also painting on mirrors. Ooh, I just love it. It's actually been a while since I bought it because it got held up at customs or something, so it took a while to arrive. So I can't fully remember what it looked like, which makes this unwrapping all the more fun. Okay. Oh, it's gorgeous. It has the ship. That's why I loved it. I love a sailing ship. I love water features, which she uses a lot. It's so pretty. I have to figure out where to hang it because it kind of feels like it needs to go in this room. Just, you know, from the vibes. Maybe over the carousel horse. That'd be really pretty over here. I'll give it some thought. Not gonna hang it right away. Okay, that was a nice little break for me. Back to squares, because it's time to sew them together. Woo! After doing one test row, I sewed the rest in batches of 10 and quickly discovered that the most common color I forgot to add to some of the stacks was dark green. Riveting! Took me about 45 minutes to sew each batch and another 25 to iron it, which yes, was the most horrible part of this whole project. Now I'm faced with a few questions. Do I sew the rows together with the squares and the seams all matching up, or offset each row from the last? I'll answer that one promptly to save myself a whole lot of headache, because I know my measurements cutting and sewing aren't millimeter perfect. I'm gonna offset the squares as I sew the rows together. If there's a slight size difference, it hopefully won't be super noticeable that way. However, that means my rows would continually move one square forward, creating a diagonal piece of fabric. Not really conducive to cutting out a circle skirt. This helps answer my second question though, which was, do I sew the rows together as they currently are, or do I try to rearrange them to separate some of the matching squares that ended up next to each other? I have a lot of areas where 2 or even 3 of the same fabric ended up stacked like this, and I'd prefer to separate them where I can. Well, if I want to offset the rows, I basically need to separate all of them before I start anyway. I somehow managed to sew my first batch together backwards? How? So I already separated those to rearrange them. What I'll need is double of each row type, yeah? So pink, pink, red, red, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, etc. Then the edge will be staggered rather than diagonal. And while I'm at it, I can do my best to put rows together that don't have any matching fabric stacked up. Huzzah! Yeah?
Ooh, that does look nice.
Thanks! This no longer makes sense. Fabric! Turns out, making sure no 2 matching tiles touch is impossible, especially since some colors have much fewer variety within them, but I at least could do some rearranging to separate the really standout bunches. I also ended up creating 3 more rows to take the final count up to that even 100 because I had to have an even number of each row type for this style of connecting them, yes? And if you're thinking, those don't quite look like actual squares on the finished fabric, then you are quite astute. I was thinking the same thing after sewing the first 4 rows together. Maybe my original template was a tiny bit off somehow. Maybe I'm giving a more generous seam allowance on the rows than I was on the columns. It's definitely that. But yeah, they are slightly rectangular. I'm not mad about it. Wait, that could mean I dislike it. I'm not upset about it. I don't care. It's fine. It's pretty. Rainbow! We're done! With the fabric at least. Oh my goodness. It is so freaking pretty. Also, my body is sore. Lifting the iron. Sore arm. My butt is sore from sitting in that chair so long. And did you know that somehow pressing a sewing machine pedal activates or uses a muscle in your groin? I know that now, so I thought you should too. We ended up with 5 and almost a half yards of fabric here. I kind of think this is gonna be plenty. Why am I so far away? I kind of think it's gonna be plenty for the entire dress. I don't know. It kind of depends on if I want sleeves, a sash, stuff like that. I'm not gonna bother sewing the rest of my squares together right now, because it might be useless. We're gonna go with this. I am, however, gonna set this aside and take a little break. Because right now, as I said, 1, my body is sore. 2, I'm a little tired of sewing, so I don't want to start working on the dress when I'm not like gung-ho in the mood, you know? I want it to turn out well. I'm just gonna take a little bit of a break, maybe just do some editing, maybe even film next week's video, and then come back to this and do the dress. And because this video was really more about the patchwork than the dress, we're just gonna breeze through that real fast, y'all. We're talking montage fast. Good job. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. You know, mommy's at work. Yay! Y'all, I am so sweaty. I need a chair. Oh, Lord. The number of times I have felt sweat running down my back in the last like 2 hours while I did that is too many for me. Even one is too many for me. I hate that feeling. But you know, the delightful thing is that even though I'm super sweaty and quite tired from doing that, this dress is still super comfy. I'm really pleased with the fit of this. I'm back to being proud of myself. Yay, a successful sewing project. And thank you for understanding. Thank you in advance that I just needed to do this one without really filming. That helped so much. It's a lot to sew something and at the same time film it and at the same time have to be thinking about how you're explaining it. You know, it's a lot of extra pressure, and there was already a lot of pressure to just not mess up because I was using this as my fabric. So it was a great weight off my shoulders on this particular one to just spend 2 days like full on focused and not having to think about all the other stuff. I mean, it is a pretty basic dress actually. It's not that complicated. I've made this style of bodice before. I just wanted to make sure that it fit me really well this time. I did like 3 mock-ups, y'all, what? And it does, it fits really well. The only I'm thinking about sweat. The only slight tweak I would have made is the armholes could be slightly more cut down, not even really in the center, but kind of just like right here on both the back and the front. Everything else, really pleased with it. I was debating the sleeves so hard because I was like, some butterfly sleeves with the fabric. I had plenty of fabric. It'll be so cute, right? But then I was like, I also really like the idea of just a sleeveless summer sundress. So I went ahead and cut them out. And then once I had them lined, I realized that they don't like flutter. Those are called like butterfly or flutter sleeves, and it's because in a lighter material they really flutter and flounce and they feel nice. But because this was already thicker from the patchwork and then the lining as well, it doesn't really flutter. I still like the look of them, but I made them removable, and I'm so glad I did because I love the look without them as well. And that worked out so well. I just put the sleeve head on a piece of bias tape, and then I put hooks all on the inside of this and hooks on that, or I put the bars on this. It hooks together. You can't even tell that they're removable. Very pleased with myself on that one. And then yeah, I did the sash. I did this little, it's literally just a double-sided strip here, because I was like, you might as well put something in your hair. And then I also made this bow because I just thought it would be fun. It didn't really go right in my hair. It felt a little oversized. I mean, actually it would be kind of cute in my hair. But the thing is, I have fabric left over, y'all. I mean, if anyone is wondering how much fabric they would need to make something similar to this, of course your own body size comes into account, but I made what, 5.5 almost yards, and with the sleeves, the sash itself took like, you know, a chunk of fabric, about a 1/2 yard, I would say. I still have all of this left over, as well as some scraps and all of these squares that I didn't use. That's probably enough for like another yard of fabric or something. So I was thinking, let me put this somewhere. And I'd love your thoughts on this. I was thinking it would be fun to use all of those at some point. I need a little break right now, but at some point, use them to make some sort of small item. I could do like bows like this that you can use as clothing bows, hair bows, you know, kind of makes it usable in a variety of ways. I could even just do like the ties, like don't actually sew it into a bow in advance, just make double-sided ties. I could do, dang it, I had another idea and now I've lost it. Oh, like the tie-on pockets, like the historical pocket sort of thing. Something small and really simple to make because I'd want to make several of them. Maybe even scrunchies. I know some people still love a scrunchie. My thought being, I would love to use this up and do it in some way that I could either do as a giveaway for you guys or as my charity auction for this year. Last year I did a charity auction and auctioned off a bunch of my embroidery pieces, which was awesome. We raised a lot of money, and I'd love to make that an annual thing that I do. I believe I did it in October last year. So like an annual October thing that I do a charity auction and auction some stuff off. I've had some thoughts. I thought about auctioning off my stack of sashiko squares. In the future, I might just auction off non-garment projects that I've made, because garments are a little like, they have to fit the person, and I've worn all of them. But this I thought would be a really fun idea for something like that to auction off this year, and then you guys could have a little piece of like something I made and something with like a bunch of fabric for my projects. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on that. Tell me like if you would be interested in like buying a donation auction piece kind of thing, what small item you would be interested in. Gotta be small, easy to repeat, not fitted to the people whatsoever, something like a hair accessory, a pocket, not even something with like a zipper in it, like small bags. Nope, not doing that en masse. But I thought that would be a great way to use up all the remaining squares. So I will ruminate on that. I got like a month and a half to think on it. Give me your thoughts. And with that, the 2025 Patchwork project comes to a close. This is definitely my most wearable patchwork project yet. I've worn the overalls around the house a couple times, like in videos. I have not worn the other two garments pretty much at all. The first one I don't think quite fits me anymore. I've gained a little weight since then. But this one I'm like straight up full on, I will wear this out. I will wear it to dinner. I will wear it to the garden if we ever go there. Like, I'm ready to wear this. It's so comfortable. I'm so pleased with it. And oh my god, with the petticoat underneath, I didn't feel like digging out my white petticoat that's extra poofy, so I just used the black one from the stained glass dress. But I feel like it was the perfect size for like 1950s prom dress feeling. Anyway, I gotta wrap this up. I'm sure this video is very long already, and you're done hearing me chat about it. So, you're awesome. Thanks for being here. Later, taters! I have already— Hello, small boy!
Oh, it's not that complicated.
You know, kids don't smell until they poop. Did I already talk about this? We do gotta go get the puppy. You gotta put on some clothes. Do you hear that? There shouldn't be things rattling inside here. And yet there are. Look there, he goes. Isn't he dreamy?
We're done. And right on time because it's 2 p.m.
Okay.
And Daddy needs his juice.
Farts. Thank you for joining me for 4 years of patchworking delight. I can't wait to delve into year 5. I have some very lofty plans. And I've been doing a lot of patchworking outside of my annual project lately, like all of these fun accessories that I auctioned off, and my frickin' adorable patchwork whale purse, and a lampshade even. It's a blast. I truly love it, especially now that I'm pretty much always using up fabric scraps in the process. Have you yourself tried patchworking? Tell me about your favorite thing that you ever patchworked, or your loftiest goals in the patchworking world. Or just tell me what you were working on, because these compilations are great for people working on stuff. I hope you've had a lovely time and gotten lots of work or crafting or rest accomplished. Later, taters!